Being good is why they don't want you. Not because goodness is unattractive in theory. Because your version of good isn't goodness. It's compliance dressed as virtue. It's obedience marketed as character. You didn't become admirable. You became manageable. And desire does not gather around what it can manage. You've lived this. You do everything right. You say everything right. You make things easy. You over-communicate to avoid misunderstanding. You preempt every inconvenience. You offer predictability like it's a gift. You are patient without being asked. You turn yourself into the safest place on earth. And then you watch them get bored. You explain yourself harder. You explain your intentions, your history, your boundaries, your empathy. You think transparency secures intimacy. It doesn't. It bleaches it. You rub clarity on everything until nothing is left to grip. Clean equals sterile. Sterile equals dead. You built a hospital around your heart and then wondered why no one is aroused in the ICU. You didn't lose to someone better. You lost to gravity. You tried to negotiate with arousal like it's a court case. It isn't. You can't litigate chemistry. You can drown it. And you have. Name the mechanism. You run an approval economy. You earn points, acts of service, texts sent on time, birthday plans optimized, apologies delivered early. You earn and earn and earn, and then you try to redeem your points for desire. Except desire isn't a loyalty program. It doesn't exchange. It interrupts. It chooses. It doesn't care that you are good. The part you've been refusing to admit. Your goodness is not free. It's a bid, a debt, a promise that if you are beyond reproach, they will owe you wanting you. That's why you're tired. You're carrying a ledger no one agreed to. Desire recoils from debt. Attraction wants to be pulled, not invoiced. You think this is harsh. It is. Reality is not a concierge. Let's go deeper. Your good is a fawn reflex. It's the survival move you learned early. If I'm accommodating, I am safe. If I'm accommodating, I am chosen. You mistake lack of conflict for intimacy. You mistake surrender for love. You're not kind. You're compliant. And compliance reads as fear. Desire is allergic to fear that looks like devotion. You can hear it in your voice. The way you soften hard truths. The way you cave fast. The way you monitor their micro-reactions like a hostage negotiator. The way you rush to reassure them you're not like the others. The way you perform predictability. You don't assert your edges. You pre-clear them for approval like you're applying for a permit. You deleted your edges because you confuse edge with threat. But edge is what separates you from furniture. Without edge, you're accessory. Useful, safe, replaceable. Here's the ugly law. Everything that makes you perfectly acceptable also makes you perfectly ignorable. You're smooth. You don't catch. You don't cut. You don't make a mark. Remember this line. Approval is the anesthetic. Desire is the pain. If they never risked pain around you, loss, consequence, misinterpretation, their nervous system doesn't have to notice you. You become background protocol. Nice, reliable, numb. You want examples. You already have them. You over-explain. Every preference you wrap in disclaimers. Only if you want to. No pressure. I totally understand if not. You think you're being considerate. You're dissolving your wants in sugar until nothing is left. You taught them your yes is automatic and your no is theoretical. That is the fastest way to convert attraction into permission. Permission is not desire. Permission is paperwork. You are always available. 11:43 p.m. Are you up? You are. 7 a.m. Can you swing by? You can. You congratulate yourself for flexibility. It isn't flexibility. It's absence of priority. You rank them above commitments you pretend to have. That telegraphs one message. There is no cost to neglecting you. Anything free gets treated like decoration. You preempt their needs. You think anticipation is romantic. It is sometimes. But you don't anticipate for delight. You anticipate to remove friction. Friction is where attraction lives. The dinner tastes better when you know it could have been burned. The date is charged because it could go wrong. You remove wrong. You remove charge. You campaign for safety. You mistake safety for warmth. Safety matters. But you built padded walls where there should be muscle. Safety without weight is infantilizing. You're not a partner. You're a chaperone. Look at your dates. You mirror. You match their opinions in real time. You adjust your laughter. You map their tone and replicate it. You think you're building rapport. You're erasing yourself. There is no otherness to cross toward. Desire needs a gap. It is the reaching across. You killed the distance and then complain that no one is leaning. Or you brag about how transparent you are. You share every detail of your past, every insecurity, every secret on night 2. You call it honesty. Often, it's an attack. You bury them in disclosure so they have no reason to doubt you and no room to want you. Mystery is not deception. Mystery is oxygen. You open every window, every door, and then ask why the flame won't hold. There's a moment you won't admit. The moment you learn to fear being the bad one. You made an oath not to be the villain in anyone's story. A noble fantasy. Erotic poison. The refusal to let anyone think you are capable of harm eliminates the voltage that makes you interesting. Not because harm is attractive, but because contained danger is the proof of strength. If there is no shadow, there is no heat. If there is no possible no, every yes is sterile. You don't have to become cruel to be felt. You do have to be able to disappoint without collapsing. You have to be able to want something enough that someone else's mood doesn't erase it. You have to carry standards in your body, not in your notes app. Until then, your goodness is just leverage. And they feel it. They may not name it, but their body knows. There is an invoice attached to this smile. You think you're being generous. You're doing reputation management. There's a difference. Consider how you explain. You think explanations repair. Sometimes they do. But the way you explain is confession as control. If I tell you everything before you ask, you can't accuse me. If I rationalize every change in tone, you can't be startled. If I disclaim every motive, you can't misinterpret. You are immunizing them against your impact. That is exactly why they stopped feeling you. You sanitized yourself into irrelevance. You're not listening to what their boredom is telling you. Boredom is contempt warming up. Contempt ends desire. Contempt arrives when you act beneath your own worth to keep them. When you bend too easily. When you cover for their laziness. When you turn your standards into suggestions. When you ask for nothing until your resentment is full and then you explode, which confirms their suspicion that your goodness was just a trap. Name more mechanisms. Pre-clearance. Inflated yes. Eroded no. Micro-abandonments you perform on yourself to avoid risking theirs. Sentences you swallow. Plans you downplay. Needs you postpone. You call it patience. It's self-betrayal. They smell it on your skin. People smell when you betray yourself for them. Animals back away from prey animals that volunteer. You want to talk about predictability. Predictability is part of trust, but you converted trust into boredom. You solved every unknown before it could seduce them. You eliminated anticipation. Anticipation is foreplay at the level of time. You left nothing for time to do. So time did what it always does to the overexposed. It eroded you. You think the solution is to become mysterious. Wear darker clothes, text slower, eat steak. You'll make it theatrical. They will smell that too, because your problem is not surface. It's conviction. You don't value your edges. So you perform edge. Performance is hollow. Hollow doesn't hold heat. You need to look at the dynamic you keep recreating. You step into the caretaker role. You promise relief. You provide efficiency. You collect gratitude. You hope gratitude will turn into wanting. It won't. Gratitude kneels. Desire bites. You're building shrines and asking for hunger. They light candles. They don't reach for you. You still think this is fixable with tactics. It isn't. Tactics are how you got here. Strategy will be the same trap with better vocabulary. The mechanism is simpler. Attraction calibrates to consequence. Where there is no cost, there is no urgency. You have made it too cheap to be with you, and too cheap to lose you. You did it by cushioning every consequence. You turned conflict into customer service. You turned neglect into a teachable moment. You turned your leading into an unthinkable event. That wasn't kindness. That was fear. Run the tape. The early phase where they were lit up wasn't when you were good. It was before you decided to manage their perception. Your edges were still visible. You hadn't yet shortened your stride to match theirs. You were still willing to be misunderstood for wanting what you want. Then you started editing. You made your feelings digestible. You reduced your appetite to bite size. You took the charge out because you wanted approval. Desire left because desire is allergic to approval that demands compliance. Listen to the words you use. I just want to be fair. I don't want anyone to feel pressured. I'm easy. No worries. These are signals. Safety is a signal. So is self-erasure. You bundled them together. They can't separate the two. Your goodness is not making them safe. It's making them numb. Understand the power dynamic you created. You cast them as judge. You made yourself a petitioner. Petitioner energy is invisible once the petition is granted. You asked in 100 indirect ways, please choose me because I am harmless. They did. They filed you under harmless. Then they went looking for harm adjacent elsewhere because they wanted voltage without disaster. You chose to be disaster-proof. Disaster-proof is desire-proof. You'll want to argue. You'll want to say, but I know couples who are kind and they want each other. Yes, because their kindness isn't currency. It's overflow. They haven't neutered their standards to keep the peace. They haven't anesthetized each other. They can still feel no. They can still feel the line they will not cross. Their goodness has spine. Yours is jelly. It melts on contact. You also get punished by your own narrative. I always pick unavailable people. You don't pick them. You manufacture them. You overfunction so they can underfunction. You draft a play where they don't have to pursue because you've already arrived in their living room with snacks. You tell yourself you're rescuing them from their past. You are actually rescuing yourself from the terror of being desired. Because if someone wants you without help, you can't control the timetable. You can be left. Your goodness is a schedule. It keeps you busy long enough to avoid noticing they stopped choosing you weeks ago. There is one more mechanism you pretend you don't know. You convert everything into language. You believe in the power of saying the right thing at the right time. You write paragraphs. You provide evidence. You send links. You apologize with essay-length nuance. You are great at language. You use it to pacify your own panic. But bodies don't read essays. Bodies read posture, boundaries, delays, the sound of a door that actually closes. You don't close doors. You write about doors. Remember the line. Approval is the anesthetic. Desire is the pain. You can try to override pain with policy. You will succeed. But don't be surprised when you can't feel heat. So what happens next? Don't ask me for steps. You don't need steps. You need to admit the trade you keep making. You pay with self-betrayal to buy safety. The change isn't a system. It's a refusal. A quiet one. Private, not performative. It sounds like this. I will not donate my desire to avoid your discomfort. I will not shrink my appetite to be digestible. I will not explain every edge so that your nerves can stay flat. I will not be good when good is just the costume I use to hide my fear of being left. Do you feel the weight in your chest right now? That's not motivation. That's grief. That's the cost of all the evenings you executed flawless kindness and watched their eyes go dim. All the times you thought patience would convert to passion. All the mornings you gave them what they didn't earn and then wondered where the heat went. You know, exactly where it went. You chilled it. You want images you can't unsee? Here, the dinner where you say whatever you want, I'm easy, for the third time, and their body registers. No friction here, nothing to push against, nothing that wakes the animal. Your smile is a lullaby. They sleep. The text you write with 3 caveats and 2 jokes to make sure they don't think you're too much. And the subtext lands. You don't believe your wants survive contact. Their pulse stays flat. The Saturday you rearranged to fit their schedule, and they showed up late and warm-hearted, not hungry. You taught them that time with you doesn't cost anything. They adjusted. The argument you diffused by taking all the blame. You won peace. You lost voltage. You watched them say, thank you, and then check out. Gratitude is a receipt. Receipts are not kisses. The way you tell them you understand why they don't have capacity right now. And you do. And you mean it. And then you eliminate any reason for them to find capacity later. You turn their lack into law. You build the cell they will eventually call boredom. You lock yourself inside. You keep searching for language that makes this fair. It won't be. Physics isn't fair. Tension is not moral. Attraction judges nothing. It notices edges and consequence and otherness and risk. It moves toward heat and away from anesthesia. You can preach to it. It won't listen. Stop flattering yourself that your goodness failed because people are damaged. You chose a strategy that neutralizes the very system you're trying to spark. Then you got mad at fire for going out in the rain. Let's close the loop we opened. Approval is the anesthetic. Desire is the pain. Pain means there is something to lose. You removed loss. You removed mystery. You removed the possibility of being misunderstood. You removed disapproval. You made yourself impossible to dislike. And in doing so, you made yourself impossible to crave. You want me to rescue you at the end. To say you can find a balance. To hand you an aphorism about boundaries and authenticity. You want to feel hopeful. That's the same impulse that keeps you explaining. The same impulse that keeps you bartering for heat with good behavior. It's a stall. So here is the only thing you get. Not a tip, not a method. A mirror. You are not good. You are frightened. Your fear is sophisticated. It learned manners. It baked cookies. It did the dishes. It memorized love languages. It can recite relationship advice word for word. It has impeccable timing and a soothing tone. And it is killing your desire, theirs and yours, with kindness. If you keep this up, you'll earn what you've been earning. Appreciation without appetite. Invitations without urgency. Companionship without charge. You'll get chosen the way hotels are chosen. For reliability. For cleanliness. For absence of surprise. And you will lie awake next to someone who means it when they say they love you, and you will feel the temperature in the room, and you will know that something essential is missing, and you will have no one to take it from. Because you gave it away every time you refused to let your edges be seen. The part of you that is tired right now knows the bill is due. Not because you did something wrong. Because you refused to do anything that could be called wrong. And in that refusal, you erase the only parts of you that register as alive. Don't fix this on someone else. Don't fix it tonight. Sit in it. Let the embarrassment arrive. The old behavior was obvious. It was costly. It kept you safe and invisible. You discovered the safety was a silence you couldn't hear until the room emptied. That's what being good got you. That's what it always buys. Tranquility. No tension. No threat. No heat. Desire doesn't live there. It never did. It knocks where it can bruise. It stays where it feels the line. It wakes where there's a reason to stay awake. You've been putting it to sleep.